I'm Mayor Tommy Roberts. Welcome back to the Mayor's Table. My guest this morning is Fire Chief Terry Page. Terry, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. It's good to be here again.
We've had you on before and we've talked about things that are relevant to the fire department, service issues, prevention issues, a number of different things, and we aren't going to talk about those things today.
Yeah.
You have recently made an announcement that you're retiring from the fire department, City of Farmington, after 23 years of service, and I wanted to bring you on the Mayor's Table and ask you about your retirement plans and to thank you for your service to the City of Farmington and to the citizens of Farmington. So you're being thanked right now.
I appreciate that very much. This is my third time on the Mayor's Table, so I guess the third time is the charm. After this one, I get to go, so it'd be nice.
So it's been 23 years.
Yes.
And when you think back those 23 years, what are the fondest memories that you have of your service at any position in the fire department?
You know, I think that's probably an easy one. It's the relationships when it comes down to it. The relationships within the fire department, the relationships within the city, and honestly, the relationships within the community. You get to meet a lot of people under a lot of different types of circumstances, and there are people that I've remained friends with and feel very close to because I've met through the job.
Right. So 23 years ago, you started out on the line,
Yes.
firefighter position.
Yes.
And then let's walk us through the tenure that you had for those 23 years and the different positions that you had.
Well, you know, I'd probably start off with firefighting was not something that I was shooting for to begin with. I fell into the testing process through the recommendation of a friend, went through it. Like a lot of people, I tested. At that time, the testing was quite a bit different than what we do now, but did the testing process, didn't get hired originally. I was told, hey, you know, we've put you on a hiring list and, you know, we'll contact you in the future if something comes up. Well, it was literally just a month or two later that I got a phone call from the city saying, well, hey, you're next on the list and we'd like to offer you a job. Came down, I was living up in Bayfield at the time. Came down, went through all the process to you know, actually get started with the city. All the interviews and everything had already been done. And I wasn't sure what to expect at all. And when I came in and spent a couple of days here, because we're doing the 24-hour shifts at the fire department, I tell you, it was an easy fit for me. I had grown up in sports and team sports, predominantly in football, and what I found out was the way the fire department operates is just like a big sports team. You've got positions, you've got position players, position coaches, you've got people that act as a coordinator in those different positions. Then you've got the different levels of the coaching staff, and it was an easy fit. It's something I'd been doing since I was a kid, and so it was a natural fit for me, and I took to it very, very easily, I think. So I started off as a firefighter. I was one of those people who had no experience in the fire department, and I was coming in with people that had been doing it for many years, and they had known since the time they were a young kid that they wanted to do this profession. Again, I didn't know anything about it, so I had to learn it all from scratch. I spent the first 5 or 6 years in the position of firefighter, and then I was able and fortunate enough that I moved into the position of engineer, and I promoted into the next position from there, and I spent another 5 years there. And then the next progression was, at that time, was to a company officer. At the time, it was captain, and I became a captain with the fire department. And then I became a battalion chief, which oversees the entire shift for that day. And then I was very fortunate after that. I was able to attain the rank of deputy chief, which is really what I had always aspired to become. That I thought at the end of my career, if I could make it to deputy chief, that I felt like I had really accomplished something special, and that's where I felt I needed to be or wanted to be. And then through a series of different events that took place, I found myself as the interim fire chief for just over a year. And then ultimately was named to the position as the fire chief, and you know, I've spent 8 years now total acting in the fire chief position here.
Let's talk about some of the challenges you faced in your position as chief. You were able to grow from the early days of your service with the fire department. You transitioned into management, and then ultimately you were appointed to the ultimate position in the fire department, and that being the position of chief. Talk about that transition and what kind of issues that created for you.
It was the toughest transition of all the ones that I just spoke of moving my way up through the ranks. The move, the first management position really in the fire department is when you get into battalion chief, and it's a lower level management interacting with the shift personnel every single day. Deputy chief is more of a management position, and then the chief position obviously is 100% management. It's tough. You find yourself absolutely in the middle all the time. The feel is that the firefighter still wants you to be a firefighter, but yet you've got your job in management. That has to be your number one priority as far as getting the job done, but you still have to keep the people happy at the same time, the employees. And so you bounce back and forth. It's an interesting quandary to find yourself in, because you start off as a firefighter and you know that that's what you want to do at that time. And when you become the chief, you're very far removed from being a firefighter, but yet the firefighters still want the chief to be a firefighter, but the chief finds himself in a different position where he's very far from that.
Would you say that that has been your biggest challenge as the chief of the fire department, to bridge that gap and to make that transition? Because as a firefighter, you see your firefighters as comrades, I would think, and then getting into the management position, you have other issues you've got to handle. Sometimes the way you handle those aren't entirely consistent with the desires and wants of the firefighters. Right. So would you say that that's been your most difficult, most challenging?
I don't know that it's the biggest, but it's definitely right up there with some of the other ones. All those things that you just mentioned are absolutely true, and those are things that you kind of battle with every single day, and it's always a struggle to try and maintain that balance there. The other issues that you run into are the fire service in the United States is changing a lot, and so trying to move the fire service in our fire department here in Farmington, trying to move it into the 21st century, keep it modern, keep it relevant, keep the community's interest as the number one priority. The community's needs as a number one priority, and bringing the people along with those new mindsets and ideas is also a big challenge with that as well. I will tell you that as the fire service changes, equipment needs change, new standards, new regulations. We run into financial constraints regularly, because in the dream world, you can meet every standard, you can meet every change in the rules or the regulations, but in the real world, it's very difficult to do financially, because the fire service is, I've told people before, we're trying to regulate ourselves right out of business sometimes, because we just impose more and more rules as time goes on.
When you've had a chance to sit back after this retirement takes effect at the end of the year, and you have a chance to reflect on your 23 years of service, reflecting on some of the accomplishments that occurred during that 23 years of time, and maybe more particularly focusing on your tenure as chief, what would you think you would highlight as your major accomplishments as a leader? I know that'll be hard for you to answer, because you're not the kind of person who wants to talk about those kinds of things, but I think our viewers would be very interested to know what your perspective is.
Well, I think I'm most proud of the fact that we have grown during this time frame. We've grown the fire department in every way. We're still short a couple of fire stations that we've always needed here in Farmington, but as the community grows, we should be looking into the future of what that means as far as growth, physical growth of the fire department. And we're moving towards that. We're making land purchases, we're acquiring land, we're doing things like that. We know where the future fire stations need to go. The issue is going to be, how do we come up with the funding for the additional personnel to man those fire stations that way? But we've grown in every other way. We've got tremendous equipment. Our fleet is top notch. I'll put it up against anybody else's. Our equipment is top notch. Our safety equipment is top notch. The people, probably what I'm most proud of is the people that we've got. And I've said it before. We are stacked more deep with talent in the Farmington Fire Department than we have ever been. The level of training is phenomenal. The level of the quality and the character of the people are phenomenal. It's a package, I think, that we bring forward. I've said all along that when I became the chief, the idea was try and leave the fire department in a little bit better shape than what it was when I inherited the reins as the chief goes. And I think I've done that. It's hard to put a lot of tangible items to that list, but I think in general I think we're in better shape. I want to leave it with a good foundation for whoever the next person is to come in, where they can hit the ground running and not have to figure out what the heck has been going on here for the past 8 years.
As an observer for the last 8 years and a fairly frequent interactor with you and the fire department, I can attest to the fact that you've left it in a better position than it was when you started, and I congratulate you on that and honor you for that.
Thank you.
Let's talk about your plans. Is this a real retirement, or is it a retirement from one thing and the preface to stepping into something else? You're still a young man.
Well, thank you. That's a very kind compliment of you. When I took over as the chief, and I've looked at a few pictures from 8-9 years ago, and I believe it or not, I had some hair, and what I had wasn't gray. So parts of me feel like I'm a young man for sure. Certain days are better than others. It's not a real retirement in the sense that I'm putting myself out to pasture and I'm not going to do anything. My anticipation is that I will work again somewhere. At this point, it's up in the air. I don't know what it is that I'm going to. I don't have a job at another fire department, which has been discussed in some rumor circles right now. And to be honest, I don't know that I'm interested in staying in the fire service anymore. I've said all along that this job is what I do. It's not who I am. It doesn't define me as a person. And I think I might be interested in trying something new into the future, and a new challenge I think is always healthy. So we don't know. Our youngest son is a senior in high school this year, and when he graduates and goes off to college, for the most part, most of our kids now have gone and moved on somewhere else. Neither my wife nor I are from here. We've got tremendous friends in the area. I don't know. It would be hard to leave the friends. Back to the relationship component, it would be hard to leave the friends. But if an opportunity comes up somewhere else with something that sounds exciting, I think we would definitely be up for moving and trying something different.
It's probably a very bittersweet time.
It is, yes.
In your life, you're leaving a position that you worked hard to achieve, and you've done really good things for the people of Farmington, city of Farmington. We want to congratulate you for that and to thank you for that, and wish you well in your retirement, and give our best wishes to Ginger as well. I know this is a big time, a big event for her as well. And so on behalf of the City Council, I want to just say thank you very much, and we hope everything goes well for you in whatever you choose to do in the future.
Well, I appreciate that more than I can say, Mayor, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity that the City Council and you yourself and the City Manager have allowed me over the years in order to take this on, and it's been an interesting at times, but a wonderful ride all the way. So I'm very grateful.
We hope you'll have overall fond memories about it. Terry, thank you. This will conclude this segment of the Mayor's Table. We've hoped that you've enjoyed visiting with Terry here, and we will look forward to seeing you again next Monday.